Hey everybody, welcome to the H2G podcast.
That's a start.
Wednesday night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today we're gonna talk about the chat. And who is better?
Can't even take this serious right now.
All right, so we're gonna talk about. No, I'm just gonna go on a tangent because that's what I do. No, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to everybody's heart, COVID. And the lungs are right next to the heart, so it's mostly true, right? Anyway, I just want to pop this on over to Justin because he is the hostess with the mostest on this guy.
Hostess, okay.
Hostess with the most.
What's up?
Host with the most.
Happy hump day, everybody. We have been known to talk a little more serious on Wednesdays, and I agree, Christy, this is something that's near and dear to the heart, and I can't believe this is going to be our fourth or fifth time having to bring it up on the air, but honestly, I suggested this as a topic because I got called out this week about how people are still literally believing that the virus, whether you believe it doesn't exist, the masks, I've heard this week that the masks are an effort for the government to demonstrate their control upon America and forcing them to wear them. So I refuse to wear a mask. I simply posted what sparked all this craziness is I had posted one of my motivational quotes, and at the end of it, I said the same thing I say here on the podcast, only I use the word fucking instead of damn. I said, wear your fucking masks. And I said that because I have spent the past month working in a retail location. Now, let me just explain what that means for me. What that means for me is outside of work, I have to be on quarantine all the time because I don't live in a house of my own out in the field. I've got people that share the same airwaves as me. So I had to quarantine my entire apartment. And when I'm not at work, I'm here and I'm locked down and I'm by myself. So I'm still quarantining and working every single day. I've gone through 4 series of having to be tested from being exposed at work. I've got luckily to be negative all 4 times because I'm taking extreme precautions at all times, living hand sanitizer, washing my hands several times a day. But I'm constantly aware of this. And what's killing me is in this retail job that I'm working and in regular life and pictures on Facebook and posts on Facebook, I'm seeing that people are just still disregarding that it's even out there. And at this point, it's become redundant and annoying that everybody believes that this is just some big hoax. People are fucking dying from COVID-19. Brandy Zapata spoke up for us this week in the same argument, and there were several cast members involved. That's the only reason. I'm not, and anyone else involved in the argument that would like to come defend themselves, hit me up, justosbestlive@gmail.com. Brandy Zapata's lost people and was able to speak about that. I mean, people, this is getting close to home for everyone, and people are still ignoring the fact that it exists. I just wanted to bring it up and see what you guys are seeing where you live. I know we're all spread across the country. Is this gonna continue just because of stupidity? Like, are we never gonna get a leg up on? I mean, we got a vaccine and people are worried about freaking microchips. Are we ever gonna get past COVID, or are these stupid people gonna keep us on a variation of lockdowns and you know, businesses being shut down and all the shit that we're dealing with?
Oh, I guess I'll jump in because I live in Texas where everybody's like, you can't tell me what to do. I have guns. Bang, bang. And I see it. I mean, even for the most part, like going up to stores and restaurants, like I feel like a lot of the like corporate places are doing a good job of trying to enforce all of that. But it's a lot of the people that frequent it that are just like, it's basically just like the flu, which is not at all true. If that's what you're arguing, you watch Fox News way too much. Sorry to break that to you. But as somebody, like, fortunately, I've not had anybody directly like in my family end up with like a severe case of COVID-19 or pass away from it. But I do have friends who have lost family members, and it's been very, very difficult just hearing about that. And then my mom personally, hey mom, she's basically been on lockdown since March of last year. So that's like a year at this point where she hasn't sat down and eaten in a restaurant. She has a compromised immune system. It would be deadly if she were to contract this virus. So she's had to be incredibly precautious about anything that she does. I mean, I know my dad goes to the store, and when he comes home, he wipes down every can, everything that he brings home from the store that could possibly carry this virus on it, just to protect my mom. I went home for Christmas, and I had to go through some extreme lengths to ensure that I, in no way, shape, or form, could possibly be carrying this virus home to her. And the fact that people are so like nonchalant and act like it's not that big of a deal, it's so selfish. The things that I want to say to you would not be appropriate to say on air, and my mother would not want me to say them to you on air, but just let me know that I think very low of you if you're the type of person that doesn't take it seriously. And I'd like to give you a finger right now that's not this one. So,
Richie, if you care to share, one of the points that I've been trying to make since the beginning is those of us that do not have compromised immune systems, those of us that are in the prime of our life that have the least to worry about when it comes to the disease catching us, and being deadly in that aspect, we need to, in my opinion, we need to be more cognizant for those that are compromised. Now, I happen to know that you shared on the air before you had COVID-19. Walk in the park for you? Was it?
Yeah, no. Okay. So everyone's going to have different experiences. I was one of the ones that had one of the worst ends of things, right? And I think that's where people don't get it, is because you can be asymptomatic and have COVID. I was not asymptomatic. I'm as strong as an ox. I don't get sick. Before COVID, the last time I'd gotten sick was 2017. And it was bronchitis. So it wasn't like something like, I don't even get the flu. Like, it just doesn't happen. So anyways, I got COVID, and took about 12 days. In the first 4, I was in extreme pain. I didn't feel like moving. I had no appetite, and I lost 5 pounds because I didn't eat for 3 days. So on the 4th day, thankfully, I felt like I could eat. And obviously, I know I needed to eat, but it's one thing to know you need to eat, but not be able to like actually get something down. You can't understand that until you have to deal with that, right? It sounds so simple, like, oh, well, like, we know how to breathe, we know how to know. Well, when you physically don't feel like you can eat, like you don't know what that experience is until you have it. So I couldn't eat. And let me tell you right now, like I said, I'm strong as an ox. I hike all the time. I have a resting heart rate of like 62. Like I am very fit. So I'm very fortunate that those conditions were like that. I'm 35. So again, unlikely I would pass to something like COVID, but there have been cases where that's already happened. And there's going to be people that are asymptomatic, but I think the thing about is whether or not somebody deals with like very strong symptoms or no symptoms and mild symptoms is the fact that it's not the flu, right? Because one of the things I think people always talk about is, oh, well, people die of the common cold all the time. So why am I having to be out and about and wear these masks and all these types of things? Well, it's different. So quick numbers from the CDC. In 2017 through 2018, there are 45 million cases of the flu just in the United States. We're not talking global, just the United States. 45 million cases, 61,000 people died. Now again, I'm not claiming that doesn't matter. That's 61,000 people who died. But the reality is, of those, most of them are hospitalized. And at that point where what happens with COVID, people that don't have a great autoimmune system are going to pass. And that's what happened. Most of them were over the age of 70. And as a matter of fact, of the 61,000, it was 70% of them were over the age of 70. That's going to happen. Obviously, we never wish that upon anyone, but the point being is the flu tends to cause people over the age of 60 to start perishing, whereas COVID has been a little different because while, yes, there is still that higher rate of mortality, people are dying at much younger ages, in the 40s, 30s. And actually, there was a young girl who died in Texas. It was announced today. She died on Saturday. I think she was 9 years old. So this is catching everybody. So just to go to some other numbers, 2018 through 2019, 35 million cases with a death rate of 34,157. So COVID of 2020, 5 million cases, so significantly less. So somebody who's pretty stupid would probably argue, oh, well, look at that. There are so less cases of COVID than the flu, right? You're talking 5 million to 35 and 45. So you're talking 7 to 8 times less. Well, there's a reason for that, people. That's because you have to wear a fucking mask. And you're actually, like, that's the whole point. You're staying inside. We're actually having to stay, and we're trying to keep away from everybody. That's why there's 5 million. Otherwise, this thing would be spreading similar to influenza, the flu. Well, we'd have 45 million. But let me explain something here. Over 180,000 people died on 5 million. Now, can you imagine if it was 35 or 45, how many people would be dead right now, right? You're talking 20 times more, the death rate than the flu when you consider the cases to the deaths. So you're talking, it's 20 times more lethal, 20 times more lethal. Yes, the symptoms are the same, but they are not the same thing. They have different realities, and more importantly, the death rate is significantly higher. They are not the same. Yeah, like if you're not wearing a mask and you're choosing to do things, you're gonna be fine, just like I was fine. Bottom line, if you're under the age of 40, you're probably not gonna pass away, but you know what? You just infected God knows how many people as you've been walking around, and possibly, who knows, you might have actually had COVID or are currently having COVID because you're asymptomatic. It can totally happen. I actually did get the flu in December, and I also had to do the exact same process, and I tested, and I didn't have COVID a second time, but once again, people, that could have been possible for me because it was outside that 4-month window of having COVID. People can get COVID multiple times. It's not just a one-time thing. So I think what's really important, if you don't understand, or you don't care rather, because clearly you can understand, is that the government isn't trying to control you. The government is not producing false numbers. Where are you getting your numbers if not from the government? Who's your reliable source if the scientists telling you these numbers you don't believe? And if it's a news place, or Facebook or Google, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I understand, like, there are very conspiracy theorists who don't trust the government, and there's a lot of things going on that I would love to talk about outside of this topic specifically, particularly in my state, where I do notice some things that don't make sense, and who's getting the vaccines is a whole nother story. But nonetheless, the government is not going to be fabricating these types of numbers, because over 180,000 and less than 5 million people is such a drastic number. People are trying to treat this like it's a flu or cancer and it's inevitable. It's not inevitable. It's something we can prevent. It's something we can prevent, and it's something we are preventing, hopefully, and some of us are, at least in my state. But we'll see. I mean, it's been pretty nuts. There's a vaccine hopefully on the way. Herd immunity is not going to be by summer, though. The Trump numbers were a little crazy there. And honestly, the vaccine will not be accessible to everyone in the next 6 months. It's going to be a long process, but for the most part, the people who need the vaccine are going to get it. And we just have to wait this out. We have to work. You know, this isn't about you. This is about your family. This is about the elderly. This is about being a responsible person, right? Well, is it really an inconvenience to have something over your face like this? Is this such a big deal to you? I mean, is this showing the government controls you because you're doing this right here? I don't know what to tell you. If you really feel I'm surprised more people aren't mad about their taxes and how much they get taken out and things like I would love to talk about that, like tax rates and tax brackets, 28%. You know, I just a side story. Here's something I'm complaining about, you COVID conspiracy theorists. I get a raise, and I was super excited. It was a big raise. It was $15,000. I'm not bragging. Let me explain. Huge raise. So excited. I hit a new tax bracket. And guess what? Most of my money went away. It was like I got a $2.50 an hour raise at the end after taxes because I hit a new bracket. So, you know, I'd rather have a conspiracy theorist about like taxes and where that's going than like COVID, because like people's health and like that doesn't make sense to me. Where my money's going, I can understand if somebody's like pissed off about that, but like you just doing this and not going out as much, I don't understand why you're so upset. Like, don't get me wrong, this has been hard on all of us. It's not been easy. I'm an extrovert. We joke about it all the time. I go on dates. I used to go on 3 to 5 dates a week. Can't do that anymore. It sucks for me, obviously, but it's not so big of a deal that I need to stop doing that versus like doing it and causing people to potentially get sick and die. I don't understand. Like, that's like a whole nother level of selfish I don't understand. And usually what I tend to notice is people who try to associate with common flu and things like that are people who don't actually read, who don't go to like look at government issue reports, because they are there. The CDC does do them, and they're not one page, guys. You could go through it. There's 80 pages on these things. You could really go in and you can see the figures. And if you really want to, like I just did, you can find the figures on the things you're trying to compare it to, like the flu. And as I just told you, it's 20 times less lethal than COVID. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. Same thing, like, this isn't cancer, like, because that's the only thing that's probably as lethal as COVID. But I mean, it's a little different. You can't just transmit cancer by sneezing at somebody. It's a different concept. And I'm a little baffled that we have to keep talking about this, but it just goes to show that I'm in a bubble and I'm completely outside of the rest of the United States, because I don't see people not wearing masks, but I know it exists and I've seen it and I know it's a thing. And like, all I can say is I'm glad I don't live near those stupid people.
Absolutely. Marvin, we'll go to you real quick. You're in a metropolis area. I mean, a metropolitan city with literally millions of people, right? I mean, compiled into buildings and streets after streets. And are you seeing this one? Are you seeing these stubborn people, or is living in such, because New York had like a very aggressive shutdown when this all outbroke, just because of the fact that there's just so many people in that city.
Yeah, it's still bad here to a degree, because there's no indoor dining, and you still got a lot of people that are very stubborn. They still don't want to, go by the CDC guidelines. They don't want to put the mask on. They have what they call a chin diaper, where they put it on halfway, they take it down, which kind of pisses me off, because like if I'm taking a train or I'm walking past you on the sidewalk, like you're really that inconsiderate, whereas you would put it like down if you just think that you're protecting your mouth and that's it. Like you just think that having it across your chin, you're just going by the rules. No, you have to put it over your face. And a lot of people here know that, but a lot of people at the same time, they want to demonstrate their rebelliousness by not putting on the mask. They want to show people where they stand. They don't want to necessarily come out and give you a whole elaborate explanation as to why they got a chin diaper on or why they don't have a mask on at all. And that's simply because it hasn't hit home for them. It hasn't hit their closest one. It hasn't hit their heart yet. It hasn't hit, it hasn't been their mom, their dad, their sister, or their brother. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, my uncle got it. And that really, hit me because, he didn't really take it seriously. He was going to work and then he contracted it. And when he got it, he was, thinking he was on his way out of here. And I was thinking, to myself, if once it hits close to home, you really change your perspective on everything, because whether you took it seriously or not, you don't take it really seriously until it's a family member or somebody you love. So for all those dumbasses out there, like I'll say it for you, Chelsea, for all those dumbasses, those idiot jackasses out there that don't want to wear masks, I'm talking to you people out there in Ohio too, my home state. I'm talking directly to you. That you don't want to wear the mask, well, keep it up. Keep it up. Because if it's your loved one, then we'll see if you change your mind. But we're trying to tell you that it's not that hard just to do this for now. Like you think that you'd want some of your freedoms back. It's hard to be back home, especially in Ohio, y'all, and things get shut down. Seeing a governor that's not your governor. I'm here in New York. I'm like, okay, Governor DeWine. All right, this is what's up, man. But he's basically, it affects everybody. Everybody has to do this. Nobody's exempt. We all want to do stuff with our families. We all want to do what we used to do. I couldn't see my family for Christmas. It was just me and my mother. That was hard for us. But we're doing it because of our other loved ones. We're taking that sacrifice because we don't want to get anyone else sick. Now, what Richie was saying, when younger people contract it, you may not have a higher chance of passing away, but at the same time, you could be passing it to somebody else that is highly susceptible to getting it because they're immune deficient. Like, you have to consider that. So, I mean, it's not that hard, people. Put the mask on. Like, I'm tired of seeing arguments on Facebook. I'm tired of seeing you idiots out there argue with my friends on this panel about putting the mask on. Like, when you get it, we'll see if you keep talking that shit then. I'm done.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Sorry, Lucas.
Sorry, Lucas. He's going to have the mouth of his mother as soon as he can talk. We'll be right over there, Christy. Tony, I do want your perspective as a parent if you want to add that in. But my question for you, the vaccine, I'm hearing that this is an opportunity for a couple of things. I don't trust the vaccine because it might be an attempted genocide. I'll let you handle that. I don't want the vaccine because it told us in the book of Revelations that the government would control us with microchips and take all of our personal information and insert it without our will, and now they would control us. I've heard that it's probably just saline. It's just a way for them to make money and continue to feed the lie. To me, I'll tell you before I pass it, to me, the vaccine is something that needs to be mass produced. I mean, we need to get this, if it works, we need to get it out here. What are your thoughts, Tony, on the vaccine and these people? And I mean, also, I want to know if you're seeing the same thing, people that just ignoring all of this, like there's nothing going on. Lots of questions there. Sorry.
No, you're good. Really, when it comes to the vaccine, it's good that they're coming up with something to try to alleviate, and slow it down and get us to the next level that we need to get to. On the theories that you're talking about, I mean, that's the world that we live in. That's the society that we live in. The people that have that mindset to try to say that the government, they're doing this to try to trap us or whatever it is. The government has all your information anyway. They know everything they need to know about you already. They could track you if they wanted to track you right now with your phone. They could look through my camera that I have right now and see what I'm doing. Do you know that there's a camera inside your cable box, if you even still have cable, that they could hack and look inside that as well? We learned about that at Wright State. So, when it comes to that, they have ways to do it. They don't need this vaccine to do that. Now, for the genocide part, I mean, hell, if they wanted a genocide, they would have just let the course happen that happened in 2020. They wouldn't have stood up for black rights. They wouldn't have stood up for the things that were going on during that time. If they really wanted it to be a genocide, well, then just let the course happen. Hey, let's not have the capital be evacuated. Let's just have them go up in there and just take care of whatever they need to take care of. Now, it also depends on who you're targeting. But really, Richie was the one, and Marvin hit on it as well. In life, there's people that don't know or they don't care. So if you don't know, that's fine. We can get you the information that you need to get, or you can do the research yourself. It also depends on where you do that research. But here lies the problem, is the majority of the people in the world that we live in, they just don't care. They just don't care. It's that selfishness that Chelsea was talking about. And that's what it comes down to. I try to think to myself, man, how come people don't understand Black Lives Matter? And it's not that they don't understand, it's that they don't care. And that's why it doesn't get resolved. And I go, man, how come people don't understand that women, they just don't get paid what they're supposed to get paid? They're getting sexually harassed and getting taken advantage of. How come people can't see that? It's because they don't care. And that's why it keeps happening. Man, how come all these people live in poverty and not being helped or being educated to live a better life or to have the things they need to have to have success. Poverty versus the rich. Why is it this way? It's because they don't care to fix it. Someone's got to be, and excuse me, someone's got to be the GM at a restaurant. Someone's got to drive the trucks. Someone's got to be a plumber. Someone's got, you think that Bill Gates is going to drive a bus? Hell no. And Bill Gates is a nice guy. I'm just talking about people with that mindset. So me being a father, me being a husband, me being a family man, me being a citizen in this society that we live in, I have to wear a mask because I'm respectful to the people that are around me. Because if I contract it, I can deal with that. But if I contract it and I don't take care of myself and go to other people and then get them infected, that's what Chelsea was talking about. That's that selfishness. That's that don't care mentality. And I can't have it. I can't have it. My son was born with a respiratory issue. The doctor said, you're going to have to quarantine. And when I mean quarantine, I mean you can't be around anybody for 4 to 5 months. Christy will tell you for 4 to 5 months, we didn't see anybody. My mom didn't see her grandson. Christy's mom didn't see her grandson. We had to take measures seriously. And people are not taking it serious. And that's the problem. It's not because they don't know, because you can find the information that you need to find. It's do you believe it? And then if you do believe it or you don't believe it, it's because you don't care. Hopefully I answered what I need to answer for you. I know I went on this big long circle, but that's the gist of it to me, is either you don't know or you don't care, and you have to figure out which one you are. Because if you don't know and you'd like to know, do the research. But if you're the ones that just do it because you're selfish and you don't care, you need to take a look in the mirror, because that's the fucked up mentality to have. You got to change your ideology. Otherwise, we don't get better. Period. Exclamation mark.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Christy. Hi, Lucas. Hey, little man. You are blessed with that little boy there, and everything went well during 2020, and thank God for that. Well, everything went well for you. You're alive, healthy. Lucas is alive and healthy.
Yeah.
But that process can have a billion complications.
Mm-hmm.
There's people, like Tony said, that just don't care to wear a mask. What does that mean to you, going through what you just had to go through?
I am currently in a town of people that do not wear masks. So the small town mentality, full Republican with a sprinkle of Democrats in here. I went to pick up food from a restaurant because still support local businesses, order your carry out, get your margaritas to go. So I went in to pick my order up, had my mask on, everything, keeping my distance from people. People looked at me like I was the spawn of Satan. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. And I was like, I want to look at you like that. But now I feel like an outsider, which should not be the feeling that I have wearing a fucking mask. But like going through all the stuff with the hospital, with having this bundle of joy, I don't know. They were like, everyone at the hospital is amazing. Like, they know what they're doing. They make sure that you're comfortable. They wear their masks. So I didn't have to wear a mask, because I know some people that had to go into labor and they had to wear masks through their entire labor because they had COVID, which is miserable. I can't imagine doing that. So wear your fucking mask wherever you are. So eventually we don't have to wear masks.
Thank you.
Did that answer the question? Honestly, I have no idea.
No, it did. It did. And I thank you, Christy, Tony, Marvin, Chelsea, and Richie for your takes on that. And you've heard my take a million times. I saved this question for last. And it's probably going to end on who it ends on, because we're on short time. But the last theory that I wanted to discuss about the masks, and this makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me want to punch a hole in the wall behind me, honestly. Thank God it's concrete, because I know better. I don't want to wear a mask because I refuse to let the United States government oppress me. Respond.
They don't understand what that word means because chances are they're white and they're privileged and they don't know what oppression really is.
Get them, Richie.
Right?
Get them.
Oppression is what Tony alluded to earlier. Oppression is what women go through every day, particularly in other countries, let alone the United States. Particularly in other countries, let alone the United States. Saying that twice. Oppression is what Black people go through every single day to this day, as a matter of fact. And I don't understand how, again, you can equate this with oppression other than what I just said. You are ignorant and you don't understand your privilege. You've never had to worry about a police officer driving near you and shooting you for no reason other than the color of your skin, and then they can just say, well, you know what? You look like the suspect. Sorry. And what ends up happening is they get a little pat on the wrist. They have to do a desk job for a couple of years and they go back on the force like nothing ever happened. You don't understand your privilege because your name is Gutierrez and you can't even get a job application because they're worried about your accent and if you have one. You don't know what oppression is because your whole life, everything you've ever done, you've gotten to do exactly the way you wanted to. And the moment that hasn't happened, you're very frustrated. Now, like I was saying at the beginning of this tangent, that's because you're not a woman and you're not a minority. You've never dealt with anything that has deterred you from making a decision you would like to make. Women can't wear certain clothes because there's an assumption that they're asking for a certain thing based on what they're wearing, even if they just want to wear it for the sake of looking, I don't know, sexy, right? I don't know. Black people can't wear a hoodie walking around at dark. I mean, there's a lot of things, but you get to wear your little track suits and drink your frappuccinos. And the moment you have to be asked to do something outside of yourself, you're oppressed. That's pretty much how I would wrap that up when I hear the word oppression from that. So I'm not going to keep going, but man, whoever that was, you're quite ignorant, quite frankly. And I'll go back to my statement. You're clearly a white person. I'm sorry. You've never dealt with any struggle in your life, honestly. And when I say struggle, a struggle is something where you have to overcome it. You haven't had to overcome anything, man. Whoever you are, or woman, excuse me, it could be either of you. You haven't had to overcome anything like that. You've gotten your way your whole life. And now the moment you need to think outside of yourself and help other people, you won't. You're the type of person who won't donate to charities or donate clothes just for the sake of doing it, other than a tax break. You're the type of person that just, I don't know, man. You're the type of person that probably voted for Donald Trump. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you, Richie. You hit every nail on the head. And I'm just going to be real quick. Oppression. Yeah, that's definitely, you have to be white. And I'm going to look right at the camera. You are comparing 2 years of COVID vice versa to 400 years of oppression. I'm going to use these thumbs. I'm going to use these thumbs instead of the fingers. I'm going to use these thumbs. But you get what I'm saying. Thank you, Chelsea, for inspiration. Thank you, Richie. I don't have anything else to say other than that is dumb as fuck.
And selfish.
Yeah. Sorry, Lucas.
Tony, you want to take us home?
Yeah, I was going to let Christy go or Chelsea if they wanted to go. But yeah, so this is the only thing that I would say to that person. You're equating wearing a mask and it's limiting you to what? Ask yourself that question. So the government's asking you to do something that's going to better the entire country. Because what's going to happen is if we don't get control over this, then it's going to be a lot bigger than it is. Richie hit the nail on the head earlier when he gave the statistics. This is not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. We're not playing checkers, it's chess. We're trying to do what we need to do so that way we don't get the people infected that get infected. And when you say the word oppression, man, I hope you really know what that means, because there's a plethora of people in our society that knows what that is, except for a certain kind of person. And it's funny that they normally are the ones that have all the say. This is the H2G podcast. Make sure you catch whatever you catch. Make sure you catch the H2G podcast. We'll see you next time.